Hey, today we're going to talk about product benefits or product features. This is something we see on every single product page, landing page, and so on. And often brands tend to get them wrong. Honestly, we've seen it over and over. They just seem kind of dull. They're not really like convincing people to buy. So I'm going to go really deep here and actually explain to you exactly how you should do your product benefits. I found this really nice quote here from HubSpot, which actually says it all. A feature, which is how most brands tend to do their product benefits, is just to describe what the product can do, like, the specs or something. But what you actually want to use this space for is to describe what the product will do or the service will do to change the customer's life in some way. And this is where the perceived value will really go up. And I promise you, if you do this, you will see a massive lift to your conversion rate. Now, the trick is to find out how do you actually find those benefits, but I'll help you and we'll go through this in this guide that I just wrote here. So first of all, I just want to make sure that you understand that every single visitor that goes to your website, they will spend 5 seconds or maybe even 3 seconds today because time span is going down. And they will subconsciously evaluate your site. And if they don't like it, they will leave. So the questions that the mind is sort of playing out behind the scenes is, do you have what I want? And why should I buy from you? Those two questions are being asked, and you immediately have to hook them in and actually address it. Otherwise, they're going to bound to leave you. And that's a big indication for low conversion rates. So that's something we work with all the time with our clients. Now, that's what we're digging into here. The biggest issues we see for product benefits are, as I also mentioned, they tend to be boring, like almost like an ingredient list. Like the bike is, 5.3 inches, tall, whatever it might be. Super boring. Nobody cares. The second issue is the lack of future pacing, and I will go into what that is a bit later in the video. And thirdly, they're incorrectly located on the website, so sometimes they're really far down and no one actually gets to see them. They have to be around the top of the page above the fold for everyone to see them. If you go below the fold, like 60-70% won't even see it. So let's go into issue number one, why they're really boring. So here you can see a really good example. We have a bicycle. And if you wrote it, as a feature, which a lot of people do, you would just write 21-pound titanium frame. And you might, if you go a bit further, which a lot of people do, because they know it's important to describe it a little bit better, they might say lightweight frame that makes riding your bike easier, right? And that's not bad, actually, right? But can we do better? Achieve faster speeds with less effort and hit your personal best you've been training for. Now that's a product benefit I love, right? I would buy that bike just from that, like the fact that I can reach my personal best sounds amazing. So you're selling me the benefit or the ultimate transformation from buying your product. And if you have 3 or 4 of those, that just hits the nail right on the head, then you're going to get really high conversion rates. So that's what I want you to do. Go from a spec list over to that compelling transformation that you want people to see. So 3 or 4 of those will really hit it out of the park. We have another example here from Coke, which is a bit dramatic, but it kind of explains it really well what I'm just saying here. You could go with low calorie. How many people care about low calorie? It's not really compelling, right? But if you wrote look better than the bitch from accounting at the end of the year party, like that's something that I think a lot of women would find kind of funny and that would be engaging to them and they would love to buy that product. So if you're thinking about mixers, low calorie drinks, sodas and so on, I think this market is actually exploding right now. You're seeing a lot of these like low calorie drinks that have alcohol in them, specifically targeted towards women, and they're not doing a super good job at describing the benefits, right? So that's a really cool one there. The second issue kind of goes along with what we're saying, but it's the lack of future pacing, and now let me explain that term. So future pacing is the concept of telling your customers what their life will be like after they buy and use your product and service. So that's a bit like what we just talked about. So improved energy, being happier, improved endurance, reaching your PR, that's what we just talked about. But future pacing is so important, and you want to put it in the product benefits, and you also want to have a dedicated section to it further down your page, where you kind of go over some customers and their transformation and how you can expect the same results if you buy the product. So that's product number 2. And then third, again, it's really, really important that you actually get the message across. So make sure you go above the fold. Otherwise, no one's actually going to see those product benefits. And then, the final one here is, this is actually an example of a client where we did a landing page and we didn't do a good job because we put way too much content above the fold. As you can see here, it's just crammed with text. And we could have done a much, much better job at actually describing transformation. We could have, just basically take away stuff so it's easier to understand what you're doing. And so this one didn't actually do well because we didn't really sell the transformation. We had way too many colors, many font sizes and surrounding elements, and you want more white space so people can digest it. So you probably strip away 30 to 40% of what you see on this page, and it will convert better. And we're doing an A/B test right now where we are stripping away a lot of these things, and I have a feeling it's going to go really well. So that was basically all the things that you really, really need to do. Here's an example of Nori that is doing it well. While they're not selling transformations, they are showing you the anxieties, the risk of going with the old solution. So all the pain points of the problems, having to deal with a clunky ironing board, leaky steamers, expensive dry cleaning. So they're addressing the reverse of the transformation, which is your current pain. And that's another way you can actually set it up. It works quite well. It's like, if you want to avoid, 1, 2, 3, 4 of your pain points that you have right now, that's another way you can set up a landing page. And they're doing that. And look how little text. We got a title. We got, 3 reasons to consider their product. And then we got a little bit of trust from Vogue, and that's it. So it's easy to digest, and you will naturally read all of that, and then maybe click the CTA. Whereas our example up here is just so much information, and people, they have that 5-second rule. Too much information, I'm gonna bounce, right? So this is a much better example. I know this is for mobile, so it's not a one-to-one example, but it's a good way of showing how you should be doing it. So to summarize, fix the 4 common issues that I laid out, and just remember, if you remember one thing from this video, sell the transformation and not just the actual specs, and you are going to see conversion rate really fly up. So hopefully that sounds good, guys. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions. I take a lot of time to reply to everyone. So hopefully that sounds good, and we'll speak soon.